All right, so Battlefield 2042 on Asus ROG Li, and in terms of performance, well, it's a mixed bag, and not in a bad way, but in a good way. If you want the visual quality, you're gonna have to sacrifice the frame rate to 50 to 56 frames. But if you want a performance, then you're gonna have to sacrifice in visual fidelity. So it's one of those double-edged swords where what I'm trying to say, Battlefield 2042, it runs on Asus ROG Li Z1 Extreme. It runs, but it's not like super smooth experience yet. It still has some ways to go. But for right now, the best option that you can get for Battlefield 2042, it's a dynamic resolution scaling. And the way you do that is by going to the options right here and selecting options again and going to your display. You see where it says right here dynamic resolution scale. You have to turn that on. I don't know if you guys can see it. Can you guys see it? Dynamic resolution scale. You have to turn it on, and then you have to select 100% dynamic resolution scale refresh rate target. I'm gonna try to get this a little bit better for you guys so you can see it. So dynamic resolution scale, turn it on, and select dynamic resolution scale refresh rate target. And you want to make sure your ray tracing is off, your future frame rendering it's off. This will only create more latency, and of course you want the vertical sync to be off as well, so you can get that higher frame rate. So that's the key thing, and everything else in terms of graphics quality needs to be set to low. So this is like the only way you can get 70 to 80 frames per second on this game. Like this is like the only way. There is no any other way other than this way. And it for the most part, it's good. You know, you're getting anywhere between 70 to 80 frames per second. You know, can't really complain there. Okay. Don't expect the image to be sharp. It's gonna be a bit, you know, soft here and there. But right now, I don't know what's going on right now. Right now, we're like dropping down to 20 frames. I'm not sure exactly what's happening right now. Okay, we're back to 60 to 70. Like I said, it's a mixed bag. It's not like 100% optimized to run really good. I mean, when it runs and runs, is that a face? Oh, it is. When it runs, but you know, it's a mixed bag. You know, it needs to be optimized. As you can see, it gets choppy here. See the choppiness right there. But this is something that EA obviously will have to work with Asus and AMD. I honestly wish that Asus has gone with the NVIDIA. I don't know why they went with the AMD. I mean, NVIDIA has a deep learning super sampling 3, and it would have been so much better, dude, for Asus ROG Li. Maybe on the next Asus ROG Li, maybe they'll include NVIDIA instead of RDNA, you know, the 3. AMD. I'm to be honest with you, I'm not like a huge fan of AMD. I'm just gonna flat out call it what it is. I think Nvidia is far better in terms of performances. I mean, look, I'm sure everyone can agree that Nvidia is the best when it comes to like giving you the best possible performance with quality and frames per second. with visual fidelity, with a DLSS, deep learning super sampling 3. But so Battlefield 2042, it is a mixed bag. When it works, it works. But there's instances where it drops down like from 80 to 40 to 50 frames. We are playing a Conquest. You got a lot of players on here, so there's that too. A lot of latency depending on people's networks and what they're using. So there's that too. It is a multiplayer game, so we got to keep that in mind. But for the most part, it's still impressive that you can get 75 to 80 frames per second on a handheld device. Again, I don't want to repeat myself, like a broken record. I know you guys don't like that. I don't like it either. But the way I'm judging this product, it's based on what it is. I'm not going to compare it, as I said on my previous video, to my 3090 Ti, or my 4070 with the i9 processor, 13 gen, 5.6 gigahertz, 24 cores, 32 threads, powerful gaming laptop. Of course not. It wouldn't be fair. But I am, comparing this to Steam Deck. Well, Nintendo Switch. Look, I don't want to compare a PC gaming handheld device to Nintendo Switch, because Nintendo, it's a Nintendo. It's its own universe. But I can compare this to a Steam Deck, which I will do that video in the future. And I'll save my opinions about that when I do that video. But as far as, Asus ROG Li, so far what I have tested in past 6 days, it's pretty impressive. I really didn't expect this product to be this impressive, and that's a good thing. When something you don't really have much excitement about, but then you jump into it and then it surprises you, and that's what happened to me with Asus ROG Li. It surprised me, and it surprised me way better than a Steam Deck. So, and that's good. So again, Battlefield 2042. If you want the if you want the visual fidelity, because I know some of you. Hold on, I know some of you care about the visual fidelity. You want that sharp image. Now, if you want the sharp image, then you're gonna have to turn off the dynamic resolution scale, which is right over here. You'll have to turn that off. But the problem is you're gonna drop down to 35 to 40 to 50 frames. But yes, the image will be sharper. It's gonna look better, but you're gonna sacrifice big time on the frames. Now, to some people, they're gonna say, "Well, I can handle this. It's not a big deal. I don't care if I'm at a 40." Hey, listen. If you can play Battlefield at 40 to 50 frames, and you can be really that accurate of a shot with a 40 to 50 frames, all right, then more power to you. But let's be honest. When it comes to first-person shooter games, performance is everything. But yes, if you turn off dynamic resolution off, you're gonna get that native 1080p. And of course, when you get a native 1080p, it's gonna look much sharper, more pixels natively. 1920 by 1080, so it's gonna look full HD, much better. But it's gonna be choppy. You're gonna be getting some ridiculous frame rates here from anywhere between 38, 40, maybe 48 frames to 30, and you don't want that, because you can clearly see it here, as I'm like playing it. If you watch this on a big screen on your television, you're gonna see the how quickly the frames are dropping. So to me, I would say no. You don't want to do that. You want to go back to dynamic resolution scale. You want to turn that on and leave it to 100% and just stay there. And now you're gonna be, moving up to much higher frames. There you got 70 frames, so now it's much better. But the resolution's gonna be a bit softer because now we're scaling that 1080p, upscaling to 1080p, most likely 720p to 1080. But the trade-off is the performance, much higher frame rate. And I am okay with that because remember, Battlefield, it's all about the performance. FPS games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, you want to have that performance. So dynamic resolution scale is the key here, and this is like the only way that I think you can play a Battlefield on Asus ROG Li. But now, having said that, it's not perfect. It's not a steady 80 FPS or 70 FPS. See, when I talked about the mixed bag, that's what I meant. You're not going to be getting a steady 70 to 80 frames. It's gonna drop down from 80 to 70 to 40. And at one instance you're doing 70 FPS and then you drop down instantly to 40. And that's where you're gonna lose that latency. That's where you're gonna lose that, perfect shot to take out the enemy. And so that's what I mean by mixed bag. It's not a steady. If this was a steady 70 to 80 frames, like Call of Duty, then oh yeah, dude, I wouldn't call it a mixed bag. I would say, oh man, this is great. But that's not the case. And clearly, you can see that here. Like if you pay attention, like I said, if you're watching this on your television, if you pay attention, you're gonna see on this top right corner, you're gonna see how the frame rate it's fluctuating up and down, up and down. So this is something that Dice and EA is gonna have to work with Asus and AMD to patch up an update or something. To look, they can always optimize. Listen, I'm not worried about this. They can always optimize this for Asus ROG Li with a patch update to keep it more steady. Buffering to 70 to 80, steady 70 to 80 frames. So, but currently, right now, it's a mixed bag. So I just want to kind of, look. I'm being honest. Like this is what it's all about. It's about being honest. You see how it gets choppy right now? It drops down to 14 frames. I'm trying to be honest with you guys about this product or any product that I review. So Call of Duty is fine. Call of Duty, man, runs just great. 80 to 70 frames. It never drops down below 70. And in some instances stays up to 90 FPS, depending which level you're playing. So Call of Duty is great. I have no issues with Call of Duty. Call of Duty runs just great. But Battlefield 2042, it's a mixed bag. It needs to be patched up, unfortunately. But hey, it's still impressive that with dynamic resolution you can go up to 80 to 70 frames. Okay, it's still impressive nonetheless. You know what I mean? It's still impressive, but it needs to be optimized better. And I'm sure they will optimize it once once Asus ROG Li, takes off in big numbers, maybe this holiday season, But for right now, Battlefield 2042, it's playable. Clearly, you can play it, but remember, it's still a mixed bag. It's not, optimized as well as Call of Duty. But this is up to the developers. I don't think this is a necessarily Asus ROG fault. This is a developer's fault. EA needs to optimize this to run better, and I'm pretty sure they will. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. So, well, there you have it, guys. It's 15 minutes. It's a mixed bag, but the only way to get a higher frame rate performance is by selecting a dynamic resolution scale. However, it's a mixed bag because it's not a steady 80 to 70 frames. It drops down from 80 to 70 to 40. Imagine that in one instance I was doing 70 FPS and I had a pretty good, tempo going, taking out the enemy, and then all of a sudden I dropped down to 40 to 30 and then to 20. And that's what I mean by mixed bag. It's not a steady FPS. It's a fluctuating FPS that goes down to, you've seen it, 30 to 40 to 20 FPS instantly. And then it goes back to 70 to 80. And that's where you're going to have a choppiness on the screen, latency, and stuff like that. Maybe it is the Asus. Maybe they need to patch it up with a new biosystem, or maybe they need to patch it up with a new AMD. I need to check the AMD drivers. I need to go check that out. Maybe there's a new AMD driver that I need to download or something. So I'll keep you posted on Battlefield. This is just my first try so far. Maybe it's not the EA. Maybe it's me, and I need to check my AMD updates, my BIOS. I'm sorry, BIOS updates from Asus. Someone told me make sure you check your BIOS updates from Asus for performance. So I'll look into that as well, and I'll keep you guys posted on that as well. All right, so this is my 6th day with the Asus ROG Li. I still got some more games to test on it, and Dead Space is definitely next. Dead Space. I want to see how Dead Space run in terms of performance, and so we'll check that out soon. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Take care.